everyone, welcome to BIS Talks. In this edition, we will be discussing social accountability at the workplace requirements as given in IS 16001 standard. All organizations are required to create a workplace where its employees feel safe, have all the facilities required and expect good governance from management. The government, on its part, has enacted laws so that such requirements are fulfilled by the organizations. Now there is an option to follow a single document, an Indian standard developed by the Bureau of Indian Standards, which can take care of such requirements if implemented. It encourages the organizations to develop, maintain and apply socially acceptable workplace practices in the areas they control and have influence. This standard aims to protect and guarantee the socio-economic well-being of its employees. Let us start with the definition of social accountability. Social accountability is the principle that an organization is responsible for their actions and may be required to explain. Social accountability is a process where the organizations become answerable and are obliged to give an account of the compliance to the relevant laws. Let us hear from Mr. Anuj Bhatnagar, Head MST.
In an organization, scores of government requirements are to be met related to the whole of societal values, environment and organization itself. Organizations have to give back to society, the environment and its workers. This is social accountability.
Now let me come to the definition of an organization as given in the standard. What is an organization? An organization here is referred to in a wider perspective. It not only entails business establishment, but any organization like government, academia, charitable trust or society, consumer body, cooperative, NGO or associations of any other kind. These are all covered under the social accountability at the workplace standard. Let us now focus on the central issue and talk about 11 core elements that constitute the requirements of social accountability at workplace. So, our BIS official will explain the importance of the core elements. Let us ask Ms. Chalu Varshney, who is dealing with the standard, about its key features.
In this standard, we have identified 11 core elements such as child labor, employment freely chosen, health and safety at workplace, harassment, abuse, inhuman treatment, discrimination, employment relationship, employee welfare measures, working hours, wages and benefit, freedom of association, community engagement. These core elements are specific to Indian conditions and complement various laws and other applicable acts that help in securing ethical working conditions for laborers and impart them with a sustainable livelihood and employment. Every core element has a principle associated to it and a requirement corresponding to it, which organization must implement and demonstrate. So, first and foremost issue to be considered is child labor. The principle behind this core element is the organization should not engage services of a child, paid or unpaid. Community engagement is another core element of this standard, and the principle behind this core element is that the organization is encouraged to engage with local communities to empower and encourage its people to improve their quality of life where possible in areas such as health and safety, education and skill development. Discrimination is another important area considered as a core element, and the principle behind this element is the organization should provide equal opportunities and maintain equality of opportunities during the course of employment.
As per our constitution, Article 15 prohibits discrimination against any citizen. So, for any organization, it becomes essential that there will be no discrimination while recruiting employees and during the period of employment on grounds of caste, creed, religion, gender and age. There should be no discrimination against specially abled persons, persons with ethnic background, persons having membership of any legal associations or organizations, persons with marital status and sexual orientation, HIV status or any other health-related concern. We asked Ms. Sunita Saluja, HR executive in one of these firms, whether it is feasible to adhere to these norms.
Our management is really very sensitive to gender equality. 32% women employees are out of total 1000 employees, and out of this 32%, 26% women are holding very senior positions as technical experts, team leaders, group leaders and all. And our management has provided 100% telephone reimbursement to all women employees, and 100% accommodation is also provided to all women employees. To prevent any act of sexual harassment, a committee has been constituted, and it gives a fair or reliable view to all women employees.
Apart from this, no discrimination should be shown towards a specially abled person. In fact, depending on the merit, sometimes even these people surpass their normal colleagues in getting promotions. Another core element of IS 16001 is employment freely chosen. It means that any organization shall not engage forced or bonded labor or any other form of voluntary labor, paid or unpaid. The bonded labor was abolished in 1976. IS 16001 helps to enforce the ban on forced labor, thus making the lives of workers free of coercion. In this way, the workers have the liberty to pick and choose the work of their choice. For the next elements, let us hear from the officer of MSCD.
The fifth core element is employment relationship. In order to maintain full transparency, it is mandatory for the organization to clearly define the full identity of the employing authority and the scope and nature of the employment to the prospective employees working for or on behalf of the organization.
Let us hear from Mr. Tane Krishna, marketing head in one of the firms, on how he maintains transparency in his office.
Transparency factor is always inbuilt. Whenever the employees to have a knowledge about a particular product or a project or a project management team, it is readily available on the internet. Also, the trainings are imparted on periodic basis, wherein starting from the high-tech area to the simple aspects of administration and concept on vigilance even, they are also very well trained to the staff on a periodic basis.
Employees welfare measures is the sixth core element of IS 16001. The organization has to provide facilities for the welfare of its employees and their families. In this measure, employer will also consider special need of the employees and their families, such as facilities for specially abled persons.
This is my first job here. I was hired from NIT Jalandhar, 2016 batch, BTech Computer Science, and from then I am here working as a research engineer for last 4 years. Hardly any part of the office is not accessible to physically challenged person, and transportation facilities, allowances, whether talking about support from the leaders, whether it's formal or informal, and that's the beauty of the campus.
In addition, the organization should respect the right of its employees to form or join association which represents their interest. This is the seventh core element of IS 16001, that is freedom of association. This standard makes it mandatory for the organization to allow freedom of association and recognition of the right of collective bargaining by the workers. It gives the workers the right to join an association and remain its member, or to leave it voluntarily if he chooses to. It also gives the employees the right to bargain collectively for better wages, working conditions, benefits and other aspects relating to the workers.
In an organization, can health and safety of the workers be ignored? Certainly not. So here comes the eighth principle, health and safety.
This BIS standard entails that the organization shall include provision for the safety, health and hygiene of the worker, beside providing a humane workplace and also ensuring the legality of the workplace. This provision is helpful for those workers who are employed in accident-prone and hazardous industries. The organization shall ensure no harassment, abuse and inhuman treatment of the employees. This is the next core element of IS 16001. As per IS 16001 standard, the organization should put in place mechanism to demonstrate that no harassment, abuse or inhuman treatment takes place at the workplace. They will also have a mechanism in place to enable employees and suppliers to report instances of harassment, abuse or inhuman treatment. Harassment and abuse in any form, physical, psychological, verbal or sexual, is strictly prohibited.
For the next elements, let us hear from Mr. Aditya Bhatt of MSCD.
The BIS standard IS 16001 also entails that the worker should get timely payment of their wages and benefits. As per 16001 standard, it is mandatory for an organization to make timely payment of wage with proof of receipt of payment. The salary slip should include breakup of wages paid including additional overtime advances and allowances. Deduction made including both statutory like provident fund, insurance and others like loan repayment, half pay and leave without pay. It also has to ensure provision of employment benefits to its employees as per applicable legal, statutory and regulatory requirements. The benefits include medical facilities for employees and their families, insurance cover for occupational hazards, superannuation benefits, maternity, paternity leave benefits and employee transfer and relocation benefits. This was our 10th core element of IS 16001. Last but not the least comes the provision of working hours. The organization should take cognizance of the work-life balance of its employees. No organization should demand or require any of its employees or those working on its behalf to work beyond the statutory maximum. Wherever the employees want to work voluntarily beyond normal working hours, they shall be suitably compensated. This helps the workers to spend enough time on their individual well-being like their health and fitness, sports and recreational activities besides attending to their family and domestic issues. Balance has to be struck between both their personal and professional lives. It's no rocket science to understand that the more content and pleased the workers would be, the more devoted they will be towards their job. After all, everyone needs some space to spend their own time as per their choice. So these are the 11 core principles which any organization has to follow if it aspires to get the BIS certification as per IS 16001.
To download the standard, these steps have to be taken. Go to manakonline.in, go to the standardization, go to published standards, select Management Systems Department, click on the standards, check for IS 16001, create login ID and password for download, and you have downloaded the standard for free. The management has various responsibilities. Primarily, the management should be very firm on its commitment towards adhering to its social accountability policy. Only when the management is clear on its intentions and goals, it should proceed in setting out its objectives and the legal and other requirements. While establishing the policy and objectives of the organization, the management should take into account the factors like inputs from the employees and other stakeholders, relevant applicable legal, statutory, regulatory requirements, and financial, operational and organizational requirements. Utmost care should be taken to ensure that the objectives are consistent with the social accountability policy, have been established at relevant functions and levels within the organization, and are measurable and documented. Proceeding further, the management should entrust responsibilities to respective authorities. It should appoint its own trusted representative or representatives depending on the size of the organization. It should keep reviewing whether or not the social accountability requirements are being met in the company by keeping the communication lines open 24/7. This will help put the systems in place and streamline the functioning of the organization. The onus lies on the management to ensure that the systems are in place. The documentation requirements, including the social accountability policy and objectives, its legal requirements, responsibilities and authority of personnel who have been assigned the duty. Document procedures of IS 16001 should all be in place. Likewise, the management should be in control of all documents, including listing, the procedure for the control system and the master list, etc. Records should be maintained in such a way that these are legible, easily retrievable and identifiable. By proper implementation and monitoring, performing regular internal audits, by analyzing the data and continually making improvement through corrective and preventive measures, an organization can meet its social accountability requirements as per IS 16001 standard. Now that we know about the standard, let us hear about the certification of the management system from the head MSCD.
Organization desirous of obtaining system certification as per this management system standard, they have to do the following. Number 1, implement the requirements of the standard in the context of the organization. Number 2, develop various type of documents like manual if applicable, then procedures, policy, objectives, targets, external issues, internal issues, operational risks, whichever is applicable for their system and organization as required by the standard. Third, get the documents approved from authorized person and circulate to all departments and create awareness among them. Number 4, complete at least one cycle of internal audit of all the departments, including top management, and one cycle of management review to ascertain that standard is in place and giving required results. Then you can make application to BIS on BIS portal. For submitting your application, identify the regional office under whose jurisdiction the premises is located and contact the concerned management system coordinating officer if required, and they will surely guide you about the process of application.
Now, after the application, what is the process of the grant of license?
Now, the concerned regional office processes the application for grant of license. This includes 2 audits. One audit is stage 1 audit and second audit is stage 2 audit. These audits are carried out to gain sufficient evidence related to conformity to the management system implemented by the organization. Now, what is stage 1 audit? Basically, the purpose of stage 1 audit is to assess the organization's department for the stage 2 audit. During stage 1 audit, following things are verified. Number 1, scope and boundary of the implemented management systems, type of services covered, processes involved, and relevant statutory and regulatory requirements, whether they are complying it or not. Number 2, confirmation of the information submitted in the application and whatever retained and maintained documents as per the standard they are maintaining or not. Number 3, a review of the documented information of the implemented management system, for example, documented processes and procedures, policies, etc. If any non-conformity is observed in stage 1 visit, the same is communicated, and after satisfactory actions, then only BIS decides about stage 2 audit. Now, what is stage 2 audit? The purpose of stage 2 audit is to evaluate implementation, including effectiveness of the management system to be certified. What are the activities to be undertaken during stage 2 audit? Information and evidence about conformity to all requirements of management systems under certification, then performance, monitoring, measuring, reporting and reviewing against performance objectives and targets, ability to meet statutory, regulatory and contractual requirement, operational control of the processes, audit of all departments as per schedule is carried out or not, relevant evidences are collected, verified during our audit also. The auditor also have to see whether their internal audit and management review are effective and have been done as per procedure and their whatever they have decided to do and our standard. Then our auditor will audit all of their departments as per the audit schedule, and relevant evidences will be collected and verified. Now, if any non-conformity is observed, the same is discussed with auditee and system coordinator and then communicated to the auditee for taking appropriate action with a time frame of 45 days as per our guidelines and terms. Once the audit activities are completed, DDG region takes decision to grant the license to the applicant. The license is granted for 3 years, during which there will be 2 surveillance audits conducted at an interval of 1 year. BIS follows a robust certification process utilizing competent and experienced auditors. Over the years, as the management system stabilizes, the organization can make use of this management system as a tool to improve their system.
By going in for BIS IS 16001 certification, the organization gets an upper hand over all others in complying with all the ethical norms for its workers and employees. When the employees are pleased with the work environment, atmosphere, facilities and behavior of their employers, the quality of the work and production also increases, thereby boosting the image of the organization. That's all for now.